Thank the gods it's finally over. The finale to Percy Jackson and the Olympians, or as I like to call it, Perry Johnson and the Olympians. Now, I could talk endlessly about external things about the show, about what I could talk again about how shitty the fan base is, or the simple fact that they've been trying to shit on my video talking about the viewing numbers by saying, oh no, it got 26.2 million in its first 3 weeks, which is 4 episodes, which would average 6.55 million viewers per episode, which was even less than I estimated. But honestly, none of that matters. It doesn't, because this episode was a shit finale. Because of course it was. And again, it's all just based on... none of this is for their political bullshit, because it's just bad. So we start off with the Percy and Ares fight. And this fight lasts all of 30 seconds. No, I'm serious. The big climax of this show, the fight lasts all of 30 seconds. Percy gets his ass kicked, of course, and all he does is bring a big tidal wave. Ares just stands there like this, like an idiot, and lets the wave hit him, and then Percy slashes his leg. Doesn't even stab him, he slashes him, which is, I guess, doesn't really mean anything, but the problem is that the way this is done, the challenge is whoever draws first blood. This isn't a fight to the death in which Ares, technically, when Ares surrenders the helm due to Kronos convincing him to back down, no, it's just whoever draws first blood. Just whoever, I guess if you accidentally poke them in the arm with your sword and you draw a drop of blood, I guess that counts. Yay. And right before this we see a sparring session between Percy and Luke that should have shown up earlier in the show, because this is trying to set up the fight between Percy and Ares, and later something else that I'll get into later that will not make book fans happy. Or real book fans happy, not the ones who drool over Riordan and all the garbage he puts out. But we get the sparring session between Percy and Luke, which kind of sets up his fight with Ares. But this should have happened while he was at camp, so it would have been a decent setup for later in the show. It'd be like, why are we bothering with this? Oh, now we know. But no, they shove it in as a flashback, and we were never privy to the fact that this even happened until now. And then we get another short scene of this after the fight, where we finally learn about Annabeth's fear of spiders. We haven't learned that at all, because we were supposed to learn that at the water park, but they cut that in favor of that stupid golden throne puzzle that felt like it was that's a puzzle that felt like it was out of a PS2 shovelware game. And if you don't know what a shovelware game is, basically means cash grab game. It's something that's shit out the door for money and is buggy as hell and is just a piece of shit. And, oh my god, the fucking CGI. I have made fun of this show's CGI since day one. Since the first fucking trailer, I have made fun of this show's CGI. It looks so bad here. The fight with Ares, like, you literally couldn't go to a beach and film this. This fight lasts 30 seconds, and you couldn't go to a fucking beach. I could literally have filmed this entire scene in an hour, and that's with having to do several takes for all the different shots. I could have filmed this scene in an hour on a beach, and they had to use these shitty volume effects just to film a 30-second fight that looked like trash. Really? And Electo's at the beach house, like, just off in the, 20 feet away, I guess, instead of just showing up. Her sisters are nowhere to be found, because I guess there's only 2 of them, and one of them was killed. And Electo was turned to stone earlier, so, okay. But she shows up, and Percy obviously gives her the helm. And Grover and Annabeth don't want Percy to return the bolt. No, seriously, they had this whole conversation about whether or not Percy should return the bolt, because, oh, we already missed the deadline, and I get the ideas that they're supposed to be, Zeus will kill Percy as soon as he shows up, whether he returns the bolt or not, because Percy wants to go to warn him about Kronos regardless, but like I said, he wants to return the bolt, even just so he can get Zeus to listen, but Grover and Annabeth's like, no, well, either way, he won't let you, leave Olympus alive. It's like, even if he doesn't call off the war when he returns the bolt, you should at least try. All you're doing is damning the rest of the world by not returning the bolt. So we got a couple of selfish assholes who are like, okay, Percy should have just literally said, oh, well, I'll die anyway. Whether he kills me on Olympus or kills everybody in the war, I'm gonna die anyway. So, yeah, whatever. Then we get to Olympus, where Zeus is not even big. Like, none of the gods in this, remember how Hades was supposed to be, like, 10 feet tall, and so were Zeus and Poseidon, something the movie did. They were supposed to be giant, and it's just Zeus there. He's just sitting there in a fucking suit, not even in, like, any, like, Greek, like, armor, like, say what the movie did. He had Greek armor and a cape and everything, something like that. But no, he's sitting around in a fucking business suit, and again, he's not even big. Poseidon doesn't show up until Zeus tries to kill Percy, because Percy's being a dick. Well, technically Zeus is being a dick, and Percy's yelling at him because he wants him to listen to him. But then Poseidon shows up to save him. What was the point of this scene? I don't know. And Zeus is just a gigantic asshole here, because he doesn't call off the war when Percy returns the bolt. Instead, Poseidon, he's such an egotistical douchebag that Poseidon has to show up and surrender, and then Zeus has to go around and apparently goes off to go gloat about how swift and severe his victory was, or something, however he put it. And really, I get that Zeus is supposed to be an egotistical asshole. I tried to say a different word there, and I kind of combined them. That's why I stuttered there. But really, we're doing this where Percy returns the bolt and he doesn't call it the war. Again, this is a pointless fucking change, because they changed it to where they get the bolt after the solstice. This was a pointless change, and again, Zeus still wanting to keep the war on, I guess to prove a point, is just stupid, and Poseidon has to show up and surrender, which is just all kinds of retarded. And then, we don't even get to see Percy, like, walking back from Olympus. Remember in the book where he walks back from Olympus, and all, like, the creatures and everything all bow down to him as a hero of Olympus? No, just flashback. I can't snap with these gloves on. But he just flashed back, because, God forbid, we actually have some other, like, creature show up for more than about 5 seconds. And God forbid we have some gravitas in this show. That's something else that really irked me about the show, is that there's zero gravitas with the music and the cinematography and just everything. Oh, by the way, there's a fucking 6-minute short on Disney Plus, which, considering the credits, it's probably about 3 minutes, all about about Bear McCready, or whatever the hell his name is, his score for this show. Which, his score has been one of the most irritating aspects of it, because it's barely noticeable. The only time I've ever heard the music was it got all big and heroic when Percy was slowly turning a car in the Lotus Casino episode, and at the end here when he's walking around his house at the very end of the show. That's the only time I've ever noticed the music. Oh, by the way, later we do actually see Percy's pen transform into the sword, and I realize now why they were hiding the effect. Because once again, it's like the blade and the handle start separately, and then they kind of converge like that. It looks stupid as hell. And that brings me to the scene where he actually draws the sword. And I know what you're thinking. Oh, it's the scorpion from the book, right? Luke summons a scorpion out by the lake. One, they're not even by the lake. They're out in the forest with the fireworks while the fireworks are going off. Percy does not draw his sword to fight a scorpion that ends up poisoning him. He draws his sword to duel Luke. Again, I feel like Rick Riordan would not have put this in the show if he had actually seen the movie. Because Percy fought Luke at the end of that movie. I don't think he would have included it here. Oh, and by the way, during this fight, not only is the choreography just crappy, and it has some really stupid moments, like Luke has Percy by the hand, he like has his hand here, and he's got it pointed right here. Percy's able to just get his hand off. Like, considering this guy's 7 years older than Percy and probably twice as strong, he can just get his arm free. No problem. And then Percy slashes Luke's torso and fucking apologizes for it. Like, Luke's already... and by the way, we're not done with Percy figuring shit out based on nothing, because the way Percy figures out that Luke stole the bolt before Luke actually reveals it to him is, while he's going over the prophecy, he gets to the line, "You shall be betrayed by the one who calls you friend," and he realizes why Clarice was still at camp, because he never went to Chiron about her. I assumed that, much like in the book when they suspected Clarice, because I'm pretty sure that's from the novel, that I assumed that never happened because Chiron couldn't do anything based on a hunch. Grover says he figured it out based on talking to Ares because he thought Ares was covering up for somebody. That doesn't necessarily mean it's Clarice. And Chiron couldn't exactly make a move to either expel her from camp or report her to the gods without damning evidence. And just because Ares stole the bolt doesn't mean Clarice had anything to do with it. Oh, and by the way, with the editing, they're not done with the stupid-ass cuts to black. These people don't fucking understand how transitions work. It's either a dream sequence or a cut to black, or sometimes both. And so, yeah. And then he figured that's what I assumed, but apparently no, he just didn't go to Chiron about Clarice, and that means he was the one who stole the bolt. Again, he's figuring it out based on nothing. I don't even think they acknowledge that Backbiter, Luke's sword, which by the way has like that pirate kind of hilt. It's not like a bronze sword, it's a fucking pirate sword. I don't think they even established that it was half celestial bronze, half steel. I don't think they acknowledge that. He uses it to transport some sort of portal, and that's it. And Annabeth is, of course, hiding, and she has to come in and save Percy, because God forbid Percy accomplishes a damn thing on this show. Yeah, he beat Ares, but Ares went out like a bitch. But, of course, Luke kicks his ass, and Annabeth has to show up to save him before Luke escapes. And then we get to another dream sequence. Goddamn, why couldn't I say the word? Sequence with Kronos, and we get to see him a lot closer. We still don't get to see what he looks like. He still has that stupid ripped robe on. And he sounds like a fucking Simpsons character. He sounds like Nelson the bully, or not the bully. He kind of sounds like a slightly like more raspy older Milhouse. He sounds like a fucking Simpsons character. He's not intimidating, and we skip Percy's reunion with Sally. No, I'm not kidding. We skip his fucking reunion with his mother. It cuts to him waking up for the first day of 7th grade. We skipped like 3 months. We don't see the rest of his time at camp or even allude to any of it, like maybe in a montage or something. We don't even see his reunion with his mother. Gabe's nowhere to be found when he reunites with his mother, and they still kill him off. Again, Gabe was kind of a dick, but Sally he wasn't exactly the abusive asshole that he was in the book or movie, where it seemed like he got comeuppance. Here, he's some whiny asshole. Like, the scene is him talking to somebody on the phone. I have no idea who it is. But he has this really whiny voice. He's kind of talking like this. He's got a really fucking whiny voice to him. And it's pathetic, and they still kill him. Like, I know that they kind of, like, it's what happened in the novel, but it's like, oh, I almost feel bad for him. Yeah, he's a whiny pain in the ass, but the simple fact that Sally looked like more of an abuser than he did in the first episode, again, you kind of feel bad for the poor bastard, and you're not supposed to do that. This guy is supposed to be a slimy piece of shit, but he wasn't, so it doesn't feel like he got comeuppance. It feels like Percy and Sally are just fucking insane. So, yeah, and that's about it. This fucking season is finally over. Thank God. I hope I never have to sit through another fucking episode of this show. And now we come to the question, what was the least worst and the best, or the worst episode of the show? The least worst was probably the Arch episode, probably because it was short, and there wasn't anything that really, like, actually pissed me off too much. But it was still bad, but there wasn't really anything that really pissed me off. But the worst one, oh, that one's tough. It's probably a 3-way tie between this episode, the Medusa episode, and the Lotus Casino episode. The Lotus Casino angered me so much, and even people who have been riding Riordan's dick since day one, and have been trying their damnedest to defend the show, even people who have been doing that, I've seen, didn't like that episode. So yeah, and because they just completely said fuck the book with that one. And again, people complain that the movie did that. This episode just said fuck the book by doing absolutely nothing correct in that one. And then you have the Medusa episode, which destroys the mythology because Riordan's a loser feminist that decided to go with the story that all the feminists have been coming up with, where she's some rape victim of Poseidon, and that her curse given to her by Athena was some gift to keep her away from monsters, which in their eyes means men. Which, again, just pisses all over the mythology that even the book and movie got right. I have an entire video lined up just to talk about how much that angered me. So yeah, this show's fucking awful. It obviously gets I would say it gets an F. No, it gets a Z-. Fuck this show. I'm so glad this is over, and I hope I never have to watch another episode of this. So that's all I got, and I'll see you next time. Bye.